Hello, hello. Good evening, good evening. Yay, glad you all are joining. You're in the right place. If you came to see hand lettering tips and tricks, I am Rebecca Rios on Facebook and PS348 Girl on Instagram. And just wanted to talk to you guys about some hand lettering tips and tricks. Yay, thanks for all the hearts. Where's everybody from? I'm in Northern Illinois, and we had a gorgeous day today, so had some time to sit outside and enjoy God's creation. Texas, hello, hello. Seattle, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Michigan, woo, Florida, Arkansas, Jacksonville, Lubbock. Hey, great. If you guys know someone that would benefit from this video, you can go ahead and swipe up to share if you're on Android. And I believe you swipe right to share if you're on an iOS device. Hey, another Rebecca. The more the merrier. Connecticut. Yay, some of my local people are here too. That's so exciting. If you are part of the Journaling Bible community on Facebook, we've been having, hey, your very first Periscope ever, welcome. Ooh, Northern Ireland. Hello, hello. We've been having a lot of conversations about lettering, and more people are finding Bible journaling. How to do the hearts. If you see in the bottom, on my iOS device, it's the bottom right corner of your screen. It tells me how many viewers are live. You can tap right above that area, and that'll give hearts. So if there's something you're really liking or you want me to keep talking, you can just tap there, and your heart color is determined by the color of your login name. There you go. I'm getting lots of hearts. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And if new people join in, then that's great. The first thing I wanted to just tell you a little bit of background is I don't have an art degree. I don't have an Etsy shop where I'm selling journaling prints or calligraphy or anything like that. So just a couple months ago, I was a beginner too. So if you're really new to Bible journaling, I know there's a lot of people on Periscope that are new, then this is the place for you. And I just want you to be encouraged that, I started out not really knowing much about hand lettering, and all this information is just things that I've gleaned basically from the internet. And my very first tip, my number one tip about, let me just get a fresh piece of paper here, for hand lettering is really to think about drawing letters instead of writing them. We're very used to writing letters. We all went to school and learned how to write letters. And if I'm just going to write a character here. Everybody see that? So if I made up a new font and I told you that this was a character that you needed to write, you would really analyze this. You would look at this and you would say, okay, there's a straight line here. There's a tall loop here. They all kind of connect in the middle. And you would look at this and figure out what elements this character is made up of. But the second I draw this and I tell you to draw that, your brain interprets that as the letter A, and you just go ahead into autopilot mode and start writing the letter how you've been taught. But there's a lot of ways to write this letter. And when I first started thinking about that you're actually drawing letters instead of writing, that really took my lettering in a new direction, because I started analyzing the different ways to make what we call the letter A. I can make it like this. I can make it so that the stem is detached from the letter. I can make my letter A like this. I can make my letter A so it's got a very tall line right here. And these are just the lowercase letters. We could go on to capital letters. I would look at the sizing of the letters, where the loops were, and here's a sample. I did, this is kind of goes along with my next tip, but if you kind of look here, I wrote out this font, and what I was doing here is kind of analyzing the different elements of the font, that, this part was shorter, this part was taller, there was an opening here on the on the O. I looked at the letter S and it was open here instead of being closed. Somebody asked what kind of pen do I use? Really, I'm kind of a frugal crafter, so whatever pen I can find that's the cheapest. I've used Micron pens. I've used Zig Millennium pens. I really prefer pens that are waterproof because I do a lot of watercoloring in my journaling Bible. Right now, let's see, my favorite lately has been, this is a Staedtler pigment liner, and I really like the 0.5 size. I got this on Amazon, but I believe this one pen was $7, which might be a little steep for some of you. So I just found these recently. This is the, it says Foray Style Mark. These were at Office Depot, and I got a pack of 4 for $5. So I thought that was a really good deal. And it's not so much about the pen when you're first starting out. I even think just some of your basic supplies, just you're going to need a pencil. You could even just use a rollerball pen and a really good eraser. Very important. I love these erasers here. So, so that's my first tip, is drawing versus writing. You know, analyze the letters that you're going to be using. You know, here I was writing down that this cursive B, it was really low at the bottom. It had very tall loops. Here there was a space in between the H. Yeah, I know. Everybody's got to have a really good eraser, especially when you're first practicing and even when you're not. My second tip is just practice, 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 and practice some more. And you guys, I dug out literally like 30 sheets of paper where I was practicing all kinds of different fonts. What kind of eraser? Really, it's just a white eraser. I think you can probably get them at Walmart or any craft store. This one is a Westcott, but I know they make different brands. Just a really good eraser. Even the erasers on the mechanical pencils are good, but like this one, I totally wore it out, so now it has no eraser. So, that's the kind of eraser I'm using. So practice, practice, practice. At night, my family would be watching TV, and I would be practicing different fonts. I would find fonts online. I would find fonts on Pinterest. I would look up whimsical font or handwriting font or hand lettering font, and then I would just get out sheets of paper. Here you can see all the different fonts that I've practiced, and I saved these. So when I would do my Bible journaling, I could take out these fonts as a reference and see what kind of font did I want to use on that page. Did I want something that was real whimsical? Did I want something that kind of had a cursive touch? Scraps of paper, I would just use, basically here I was using a gel pen, whatever was nearby. And you can see down here, I was practicing my letter Y because I was having a hard time remembering to draw my letters versus write them. And I think if you're a perfectionist or if you have really neat handwriting, I think it can be especially hard to get really fun fonts because you tend to make your letters very consistently. So here I just have practice, practice, practice. Graph paper is good for this. It helps you space out the letters and get the proportions right. Here I was using a brush pen, so I was practicing making thicker downstrokes. Here is where I kind of was practicing an entire layout. This was something that I found on Pinterest, and so let me just adjust the screen a little bit here. Yeah, graph paper. So here, and I was looking at the combination of fonts, and basically I sketched this out in pencil, and then I went back and I used my Micron pen, and the more you practice, the better your handwriting is going to get. So I just wanted to show you, I have tons of practice sheets here, everything from just like the backs of pieces of paper to graph paper to whatever was nearby. Here's all kinds of, then I moved on to practicing different quotes after I had done a bunch of different alphabets. I would practice different quotes, and I don't have any of my cards handy, but what I did was I took a bunch of note cards and I wrote down different font combinations that I really liked. So I really liked this one, so I would write down, combine, you know, these three fonts together, and I would just keep those near my Bible so that when I was doing a journaling page, oh, the font ideas, Pinterest, Google, I would take, you keep losing connection. Oh, I'm so sorry. You will be able to catch the replay for 24 hours if you want to join us again. Yes, all over the place. Another great resource for fonts is stamps. So here is a set of clear stamps that I have, and I just practiced. Oh, you guys are losing connection. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Hopefully you can join us on the replay. I would practice drawing these fonts. Oh dear. Okay, let me see. I'm not sure. What can I do about that? Okay, it comes right back. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. So here's a font that I really enjoyed, and so I would just practice drawing and redrawing this font until I really got the hang of how to make different letters. A lot of people were wondering too about what kind of courses they could take or things online, and one website that I really enjoyed is called The Postman's Knock. They are on Instagram also, and they have a course called Calligraphy for the Price of a Latte, and it was $5, and that's how I got my start in really doing some fancy hand lettering. If you hold on just a second, I think I have, just grab a sample. Okay, I don't have a sample of that, but they do calligraphy. Sure, it's called, yes, The Postman's Knock. And I believe it's just .com. Correct, knock. And Stephanie Ackerman, she also has a course called The Whole New Doodle, which I also took, and that was great to learn how to do some different lettering. And after so much time of practicing and practicing, finally what I was able to do is develop my own font, and that's what I like to do for my handwriting now. So this isn't my handwriting so much as it's my hand drawing. But just I've done a lot of practicing, and so now you can see that I've chosen how I want to make certain letters and lettering combinations, and I really love the way this looks, and so this is what I use in my journal and in my Bible. Okay, so my third tip is to thicken the downstroke, and I see this all the time, is someone will write a word in their Bible, and the best way to make this look nicer is anywhere that your pen would naturally go down is to thicken that area. So I write out my word, and then I kind of draw some lines in here anywhere that the pen would have gone down as you were writing. And when you go back and fill that in, actually here, let me switch to a thicker marker here. When you go back and fill that in, you can see how this gives you the effect of brush lettering. So if you're just starting out and you want a quick tip on how you can really take your cursive to the next level, anywhere that there would be a downstroke, you just go ahead and thicken that part of the letter. Especially if you have a big Bible page and, you know, you're drawing these kind of small, thin letters. So you can see how anywhere that the pen would have gone down when you were writing. And this just kind of mimics the brush lettering effect. Okay, my fourth tip is how to make shadowed letters. So here I've stamped the same word 3 different times. Thank you. And I want to talk about making shadows. So what you can do is figure out where your light source is coming from, which is not too critical, but just for sake of this example, my light, quote unquote, is coming from, oh, the pen I'm using right now, it's a Faber-Castell Pitt pen, and this is actually a brush pen. So you can kind of see it's got a brush tip. So this is good for brush lettering here. This is how you would make the do I leave extra space between the letters? Sometimes I do, but really for this technique, you don't have to leave that much space. If I found that I haven't left enough space, I might decide where to thicken the letter. Like, do I thicken it on the inside versus the outside of the letter, depending on how much space I've decided to leave in between the letters. So back to this tip. If you just remember that you shadow down and to the right, I always shadow down and to the right. So let's say on these, on the word hope here, I'm going to shadow to the right and to the bottom. So I'm looking for the areas to the bottom and to the right of each letter. When you have curved letters, you kind of want to taper it a little bit at the top and at the bottom so it doesn't look too clunky. And you can see how that is kind of giving your letters a 3D effect. So any part, and some people, they shadow, you know, down and to the left. Some people shadow up and to the right. I just have always been in the habit of shadowing down and to the right. And so there you can see that kind of gives your letters a 3D effect. Now, if you want them to look like they're kind of shadowed on the page, that was using a black marker. But if I switch to gray, and this is a Prismacolor Premier, it's warm gray, 30%. I don't know if you can see that. And it's got a dual tip. You can get these, I think I got this one at Michael's. And so then here, I'm going to do the same thing, except this is going to be like a very light gray, and it dries a little bit lighter too. Hello, hello. Oh, I'm so sorry. The connection is bad. I'm not sure why. So here I'm just shadowing down and to the right. And so you can kind of see there how that helps it pop off the page a little bit. And I just really like the effect that gives. If you want your shadow to be a little bit darker, one of the tricks that I use is to first draw the shadowing with a gray colored pencil and then color it in with the Prismacolor marker. You can kind of see here was a page that I did recently. And so that was the technique that I used. I did a gray colored pencil to give it a little bit of shadow there. If you want a really quick font idea, and this is especially great if you're new to lettering, and this is just kind of my bonus tip, is to write your word and then go back over it several times. And this is great because if you make mistakes or your hand tends to be a little bit shaky, then it's really not a big deal. And this is just a simple way to add a little bit of interest to your lettering. I kind of like to mix these types of words into my Bible, or if there's a word that I want to emphasize, then I like to do this also. And then the last lettering I wanted to show you is how to get this style of lettering right here, which was in my Instagram post. And this is actually really simple. It probably looks harder than it is, but it's really simple. Yeah, I love that look too. So you just start out, I pencil in a word I want to write. So I'm going to write the word joy. And then I'm going to take my pen, and I like to square off the ends so that they look a little square. And I've been loving the way this type of lettering looks lately. I've been using it probably on every other page in my Bible, especially if there's a word I want to emphasize. You're just leaving a little bit of space in between your cursive letter. And you can vary the size. If you want it to be thicker, you can make thicker, chunkier letters. And don't forget, you have to fill in inside of these guys here. And I fill in the O. We'll do a chunky little heart up there. And then just go back and with your good eraser, erase your pencil lines. And then you can just go ahead and color that in. Now you've got a great way to add some interest to your Bible. I'll show you guys some examples. Here's a page I did, and that's exactly the technique I did down here. So I wrote the letter I, and I wrote the word seek, and up here at the top the word you, and I just went back, traced around it, and then I filled these in with watercolors. And what is the eraser called? This one is called a Westcott, but really you can just look for any white eraser. I think it comes in a pack of 2. Like I said, I even like the white erasers that come, that come on the end of my mechanical pencils. I'll show you one other example. Here's another example of that type of lettering technique. Here I wrote the word Jesus. And again, I did the same thing. I just sketched it out in pencil, real big in my Bible, and then went back and traced around it with pen and then just erased the rest. Is there any questions before I sign off, or is there anything you want to see? Any tools that I use? Any techniques? Again, I'm sorry for the bad connection. Oh, awesome. I'm always looking at the dollar store for cheap Bible journaling supplies. Yeah, I know. You need white erasers, so I really need to buy some more because mine always seem to be disappearing. And I'm so sorry for the bad connection. I'm really thankful for you guys that you could join tonight. Bible journaling, you guys are like my village. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. And again, the video will be available on replay for 24 hours. write the last technique again? Sure. The technique where I traced around the letters like this. Hugs from Houston. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, thank you for all the hearts. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I plan on doing some more. Okay. So really, you can just write any word, and this doesn't necessarily have to be in cursive. You can also do this with print writing. And I had an example around here that I wanted to show you. So here's an example where I just did this with regular hand lettering. This isn't cursive at all. So if you don't feel confident enough where you can do something calligraphy wise, you can also just do this with regular straight letters. So all you have to do is pick your word, and maybe I'll do love this time. And then you're going to take your pen, and like I said, I usually like to have the ends be kind of squared off. And you're going to just go right around these letters, leaving a little bit of space. And you can vary the amount of space if you want to have a nice chunky word, or if you want to have a thinner word. This is how I did the word lettering. If you saw my Instagram post, or if you found me on Bible Journaling Community for today's Periscope, this is exactly what I did. I wrote the word lettering, and then I kind of went back and traced around it. You know what? It wasn't always that way, and I've learned how to do these fonts, and especially this one is a Foray style mark, and I got this from Office Depot. But really, I said I was a frugal crafter and I just use whatever's cheapest. But I really do need to use something that's waterproof, because I like to do a lot of watercoloring in my Bible journaling. And I've used Micron pens. I've used Zig Millennium pens. My favorite recently was a Staedtler pigment liner, which I have right here. And you can get this on Amazon. But this one is kind of running out, and I haven't had time to reorder that. Oh, and look, you'll see here I forgot to add my little loop-de-loop in the O. And then you can just go ahead and color that in. So I like to do kind of like a multicolored look whenever whenever I'm working with colored pencils. I'll lay down like the lightest color first. So I'm doing kind of a sloppy job here, you guys, so forgive me for that. Does thickening the downstroke work nice with printed letters too? It actually does. I don't have any examples of that, but a lot of times, especially, I'll come back to my love here, but so especially in a Bible, I'll see, a lot of people, and they'll just, this is their lettering, and it's just so skinny in your Bible, especially when you have like some great picture that you're trying to put with it. And so really, I usually never do like a single stroke in my Bible. I always try and kind of thicken things up. You don't even have to thicken up like all the lines. Like there, you can leave the, that middle part of the N thin if you want. Then I'll come back in here and I'll kind of go in with a slightly darker yellow, but I'm not going to go all the way to the top of the L. This is just kind of bonus footage here, you guys. I'm so glad so many of you are still watching. I'm not going to go all the way to the top of the letters. I'm going to stop like about 2/3 of the way up. So I started out with like a light yellow. Now I went to kind of like a lighter orangish color there. Yay! and then I'm going to finish up with like an even darker orange. And again, I'm not going to go all the way up. I'm just going to go probably like a third of the way. And see, so here you can kind of see I have like a nice, like a three-tone effect here. And you know what? If you go outside the lines, then you can just jump in and use the technique I mentioned before, where you kind of do like the retracing, and it'll just kind of give you like this funky lettered look. And again, I learned all of this from practice. I'm not an art major. I don't do custom calligraphy work. I don't, you know, I don't sell anything handwriting wise. This is really just everything that I've learned. And if I've learned it, then you can too, you know, just by watching these types of videos. YouTube is a great resource. See, so see how I just went back over that, and really retracing covers a multitude of mistakes. So now we have our cute little word there. Oh, Hobby Lobby has Staedtler pens. Sweet. So that means that we can use a coupon to get those. So that's really all I have for you guys tonight. But thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for being my people. It takes a village. And I'm so glad you guys could be here tonight. And so sorry for all the bad connections, but hope you'll catch me on the replay. See you again soon.